Hello and welcome to this Photoshop video. My name's Beckham. Let's set up a quick and easy preset to be applied automatically to raw images when we view them in Bridge, so that as we open them up into Adobe Camera Raw, our preset changes have already been made automatically for us. And because we're working on raw files, of course, we can accept the preset as a starting point, but even if we've added something we later decide we don't want, it's not a problem to back away from that one. Now we could even tell the preset to carry out the tasks we set, but when images from another camera are recognized, in my case I've got 4 shot with my infrared converted camera, then a different preset is applied. It sounds complicated, but it really isn't. It's pretty quick and easy to set up. So let's start by opening an image into Adobe Camera Raw to apply the changes that we feel we're going to make most of the time. A little bit of experience and you'll soon know which ones you tend to go to all of the time, because they will form our preset. So with the image opened up into Camera Raw, the place I go to practically all of the time on every image is to the optics, to tick the box to remove chromatic aberration and also to use profile corrections. I also go to the color mixer because I found that if I go to the hue part of the color mixer and I move the blue slider somewhere around +10, 12, something like that, it tends to make the blue skies a little bit nicer to my eye. But then if I go to the Basic tab, I almost always give a little bit of clarity. Now because this is a preset, I don't want to give too much, just a little bit. And maybe just a little bit of vibrance. Remember, we can move away from any of these changes at any time, but they would form quite a nice preset. So now we want to select the preset option from the top right of the screen or the middle right, and then go to the right of the panel that opens and click this icon, and we can set it up from here. I think the first thing I'll do is I'll give it a title straight away. Something easy and familiar. And I'll know that's going to be applied to all images. Now we can see by all of these tick boxes we can decide to omit certain changes that may be in the preset. To be honest, I cannot see a great deal of point in that. If I've got something ticked such as the white balance, which I don't want to change, it's not going to do any harm. This preset is going to make the changes we just saw placed in the image below this panel. So all I've got to do is click OK. And we'll see the preset appear just below the Use a Preset option. That's all we need to do to set up the preset, but now we need to tell the software to apply it to all of those thumbnails. And the way we do that is by going to the top right of the screen and the cogwheel, and we need to go down to the raw defaults. Now we need to go to the section called Master, and we need to pick up our own preset. We do that by dropping down the options and choosing Choose Preset, then down to Use a Preset, and there's the one we're looking for, and I can click OK, and we're done. What I'm going to do is to close the image down and go back into Bridge. Now once we're back into Bridge, I know that all of these images have had that preset applied, but because it was a subtle preset, we're not going to notice the difference here. So let's check to see if what we think has happened actually has by selecting another of these thumbnails, and we'll double click to open that up into Camera Raw. In the Basic tab, you can see my little bit of clarity has been added and my little bit of vibrance. If I go to the optics, we can see those 2 boxes are ticked, and in the color mixer we can also see that hue in the blue value has also been changed. So now I need to close down Adobe Camera Raw, and I'm going to open up one of those infrareds and we'll quickly set up a preset and then apply it. Now once my image is on screen, I know that the first thing I'm always going to do is to go to the saturation and drop it down completely. But you'll notice that because we set up that preset a few moments ago, it is picking up the vibrance here, although it's not going to affect the image now I've reduced the saturation. And it has pushed the clarity up a little bit. Well, with my infrared images, I tend to want to go quite a bit more. I also find that I need to spread the whites most of the time and bring the blacks down. So you can see now I've got a much stronger image to view. So once I've made those few changes, I need to make another preset. Same way as before, same place as before. This one I'll call infrared, and I'll leave all the boxes ticked and OK. Now what we need to do is to go to that cogwheel once again and back to the same location as before and to this little box here, which I'll tick. So we've got to override the master setting, which is Barry's preset, for specific cameras. And this is the camera. The software is picking this up from the image beneath, but I can tick the box and even look at the serial number if I need that to identify the camera, because that could be possible. Over here I need to create a default, and you can see it's picking up the camera again, but it's picking up Barry's preset, which is the wrong one. Over to the right, click the three little dots, choose a preset, use a preset and infrared, and click OK. Now I'm going to close this image down and we're going to go back into Adobe's Bridge. Now I had to close down Bridge and reopen it, but when I reopened Bridge, then all of the changes in those presets were applied. And we don't have to check the bottom row because there it is visually in front of us. We can see that second preset is just being applied to those infrared images and not the color ones above. Now using that same method, we could select a third or even a fourth camera if we had the need. And we could apply a dedicated preset to those cameras too. Now I like presets applied like this. I think they're a little bit undervalued sometimes and we don't always appreciate the benefit we get from them. They make browsing and selecting raw images a little easier and a little quicker. The thumbnails are better to view and evaluate in my view. Now I've just realised that I haven't explained why those thumbnails, those four down the bottom, were that deep magenta colour. Those images were shot with a converted digital SLR to shoot infrared images. Now that's done by a technician who removes the infrared filter which sits over the sensor that usually blocks the infrared light. And that filter is replaced with a light blocking filter which is deep red. So that's why we saw that deep red colour, but as you saw, it's very easy to remove and it doesn't do any damage to the image quality. Now as you can see here, I brought you back into Adobe Camera Raw. There's one final thing I'd like to show you in relation to presets. I've opened up one of the standard color images, one of those we saw early on, and using the basic tab, I've just removed the color and done a few tweaks with the blacks and the whites. Let's assume that we're going to make a preset just to try out any of our images as black and whites that we can view in Bridge. Now you can see the two presets that I created before. There's my original Barry's preset, there's my black and white I've just done, and I've still got my infrared, and you can see they're applied as we just mouse over them. But what I'm going to do differently here with the black and white is I'm going to click the little star to make it a favorite. Now when I do, it jumps up here. I'm going to now close down Adobe Camera Raw, and we're going to take a look at these thumbnails again in Bridge. Now what I've done once again is just quickly close down Adobe's Bridge and relaunched it, because that preset that I've just created is going to be shown to us in a slightly different way. If I wanted to look at any of the images in the top row here as black and whites, let's select this one for example, but I could select one image or 100. I can now right click the thumbnail, go down to Develop Settings, and the preset I made will now be sitting there for me to use. So I can apply it here or to a whole group. I'll do that quickly, because if I was evaluating which image I may want to take through as a monochrome manipulation, then this sort of thing may help. And we can remember, of course, all of the time we're working on raw files here. So if we want to back away from this with 1 or 100 images, we just right click once again once we've highlighted them, go to Develop Settings and clear the settings. And we're back to where we left off. Now if you're watching on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit that notification bell so you'll be informed whenever I put up a new video. Below you'll also find a couple of links. One is to the infrared section on my website, should you be interested. And I've also just completed a brand new video where I've manipulated a infrared image, and that's going to be posted within a day or two of this particular video, so I'll link to that too. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.